Today we're going to be talking about Priory of the Sacred Flame and the routing I would recommend in here for a Pug Week 1 very easy route. There's not going to be a lot of skips in here. Nothing going to be too complicated. I just want to spend some time talking about these pulls and how I go about it. So starting the dungeon, you do want to get a big pull here. It's efficient for lust timing if you want to lust on the first pull. It's also just efficient for people's cooldowns. Pulling 4 mobs is kind of a spit in the face. So tanks, these are 4 footmen. They don't really do much. The only thing they do is they do a little bit of a mortal strike on the tank, which reduces your healing, and they do a defend cast, which can be interrupted. But these mobs are very easy. Lust will get them to get melted. So basically, you're going to pull this. And what I like to do is I like to run all the way up, and on the right-hand side, you're going to see an Arathi Knight accompanied by 2 more footmen. This pull is very efficient, mostly physical damage, a little bit of like AoE stops that you need for the defense, but outside of that, very tame pull. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to notice the other side has a patrol, and you're going to want to pull this fervent sharpshooter with the 2 other footmen. I will say that the sharpshooter is a little difficult to pull around, except since there's only going to be one of them in the pack, you can pretty easily run the rest of the mobs to the sharpshooter to cleave it down. Next, or at least once the sharpshooter dies, you can then pull this 3-pack here, and if you're really feeling zesty, you can either pull in the mini boss, Solan, or you can pull in these 3 footmen here. These mobs are very easy to move around, so this makes it a little bit more efficient for your kind of party. Next, you're going to pull Guard Captain Solan. Now this guy does 2 very weird things. He does a big group damage, burst of group damage with Thunderclap, and then he does Shield Slam, which knocks you back into oblivion. So one strategy that I like to use is you can stand right up on the staircase and it'll never knock you back, or you can try to position yourself up against this middle barrier thing here. But this is a little weird because if you're not positioned right, it'll have you skirting around the side into other mobs, which just ends up being bad. Once you kill Guard Solan, the problem is that you have to wait for Sergeant Chainmail to get the command from Dalecry to run down and check out what's going on. While you do that, I recommend pulling this 3-pack here. When this 3-pack is about half dead, that's about when Chainmail will run in and she'll be in the pull by then, and then you'll just focus her down. So this is going to look a little weird because she starts up here, but she will come down to you. Next, you're going to handle this pull here. Now, if you can stop this patrol, that's better, but this pack just ends up being very obnoxious, if I'm being honest, but there's not really much you can do. Right after this pull, I would head into the patrol here. This has a couple of footmen. It has 2 sharpshooters and 1 priest. Priest needs to be kicked on their inner fire and their holy smite cast, and then you want to focus on the sharpshooters. After that, you'll then pull this 3-pack that's underneath the tree, and if you're feeling really zesty, you can pull in one of these packs here, depending. And then next, you're going to want to then pull this fanatical conjure, or 2 of them, plus the light spawn into these not neophytes. These neophytes, these guys do a lot of tank damage, so tanks do be careful here. Respect their autos, respect the damage from the light spawn and the conjurers, and this pull is good. After that, you'll pull High Priest Amia. I'm assuming I'm saying that right. Once you kill her, he's going to tell, Captain Dalecry is going to tell Dual Maul to just go check out what's going on. He's like, check out that noise. And so he comes running down. Once he gets to about this area here at the crossroad, this is when you'll want to actually pull him. He'll run all the way to her corpse, so you can like meet him halfway. And then this should be enough count for you. So next you'll do the boss. Basically how the boss works is, I've done a boss guide already, so if you want to go see how that works, check it out. But basically, depending on, you can only lure away 2 of the mini bosses. So you get to pick which mini boss you get to deal with on Captain Dalecry. They're not really there to be killed. They're there to get cleaved down or to add mechanics to the fight. You're meant to just focus down Dalecry. Basically, the reason I like to go to the south end of this dungeon is because Emberlands does a little bit of group damage, but she's very tame. She doesn't really do much else. The other 2 mini bosses are just a headache to deal with. There might be strategies and hierarchies to do something else, but I like this strategy a lot. Once Dalecry goes down, you're ready to head into the Cathedral. Now you are going to end up pulling this entire section. What I recommend doing is doing this first pull with these neophytes. Again, these guys, they slap, so tanks, be aware. The big thing you're looking out for here, though, is the Sacred Toll coming from your Ardent Paladins. Templars, they kind of do a little bit of damage to the tank, but it's the group damage that you're more worried about. Once you kill this room, or this pack, you can head to the left or right. Basically how it works is if you kill this pack here, once this pack dies, this pack will run down the stairs. But you can actually control, these mobs are sitting here. You can pull them early if you'd like, if you have enough kicks for it. The packs are basically identical on either side, so however you want to do this, you can. What I like to do is I like to do like the full left-hand side, and then I do the full right-hand side, and then you're ready for boss. So this will put you at 70.9% count. You do have to pull this entire room to spawn the boss, so you can't skip any of this. Once you do Brawn Pike, you are ready to move into the final area of the dungeon. So next, we have this pull here. Again, 2 paladins are pretty scary. There's 2 paladins, 2 priests, and 2 templars. The paladins do that sacred toll cast like I was talking about earlier. Does a lot of group damage. Be very careful of it. And then just, there's a little bit of tank damage from these mobs, these templars. Just be careful. Next, we are heading up the stairs. And what I personally like to do is I will tag this pack here, and obviously the first pack, and you can line of sight them out here into the stairwell. And this prevents you from accidentally hitting one of these like patrolling mobs and stuff, which makes it just easier to deal with. The only thing I will note caution towards is this light spawn. Light spawns do a lot of fixating damage, they're a purification, and when they're about to die, they do burst of light, and they are going to heal all of the mobs inside of their circle. So tanks, you need to make sure mobs are not standing inside of this when they die. So next, there's a couple ways to do this. Depending on the patrol routing and timing, you might want to pull this a little differently. So I like to try to tag the right-hand side, and you try to like pull them back into the corner to make sure you're not pulling this patrol. You can also pull the patrol first. Again, it's really up to routing or timing, I guess, on where these guys are in the current dungeon or in their rotation. Now, the only thing you have to do is when you do pull this pack, make sure you're kicking the mages or pulling them outside of the room. Once that pull goes down, you'll then pull this middle pack here. And then last but not least, you do need to pull both sides of this, both sides of this, because if you pull the boss will pull these mobs into the encounter, which is not good. After that, you're on the final boss, and you're good, and that's the route. So nothing too crazy. Now again, this is subjective. This is just for week 1. I'm sure routes will adapt to become more efficient. Some noteworthy pulls in here that are very annoying or dangerous is this pull here, pull number 6. Fucking brutal pull. You have 4 sharpshooters who are going to be leaping all over the place and spawning traps and doing heavy damage, and more lynxes are just ripping your group apart. If you can skip this, great, but then you have to make up count elsewhere. You can always make count up in the cathedral once you're up in here, but for the most part, it's pretty much hold W. Anyways, boss guides, like I said before, are down in the description. I've also linked it on screen at some point. It's also in my Discord, so if you're looking for any kind of useful Mythic Plus tips, check those out. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Good luck in your keys this season. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.